You're under arrest. Now, imagine that you have been arrested for a heinous crime and thrown in the worst possible place you can think of. Where is that place? The darkest, hardened criminals get sent to full maximum security prisons. And within that prison community, where's the worst of the worst get sent? To solitary confinement, put in a little cell with no windows and no human contact and no exercise for God knows how long. In fact, that's part of the punishment. They don't let you know how long. There's no clocks on the wall. And this whole time that you're being isolated from other people, you're also, as I pointed out, not getting the fresh air, not getting a chance to even stretch, walk around. And no one has been able to devise in modern history a worse type of punishment than this. Welcome to the Run With My Son show. We are a bunch of dads who are determined not to let the headwinds of life prevent us from having a lifelong heart-to-heart relationship with our sons. And we do that through something we call Runversations, which are just weekly, one-on-one conversations you have with one another while you're out and about with your son, getting fitness exercise and having that confined one-on-one time that isn't interrupted by siblings, anybody else on board. My name is Gideon Dave Newell, and the topic of our show today is PE class and gym in the 1950s versus today. Now, I opened with that prison metaphor because it's about as extreme as I can think of. But in a sense, that's a little bit like what this discovery process this week of learning about this topic has made me view the current state of PE, physical education in the United States. It's almost like that solitary confinement when put in comparison to what kids of previous generations had exposure to. There's a great quote that I read this week by Alejandro Jodorowsky, who once said, "Birds born in a cage think that flying is a sickness." They honestly think that the intended natural state of what a bird was meant to do is a sickness because they've become so accustomed to being caged up and put, someplace unnatural. So let me start off just by showing some footage because this was really eye-opening for me. This is some actual footage of some grade school gym classes in the 1950s, and I'll even let a little bit of the voiceover bring us in here. And while I show that footage,
children are encouraged to participate in a variety
of
activities for the development.
While this footage is showing, I'll read you some of the stuff that you, Dad Squad, told me this week you're seeing in your kids' classes.
Physical education
While I
programs
mute
are
this guy.
conducted regularly.
And I want to thank those who took the time to respond and let me know a little bit about what was going on in your schools. I had over 20 parents. 22 parents, and 4 of them gym teachers who responded and let me know a little bit about what gym class looks like for their kids of all ages. So here's one. It was pretty typical. For her young kindergarten through second grade students, they get 2 recesses a day of about 20 minutes each, about 40 minutes. And once they get in the 3rd grade, that drops to 1 recess per day. In addition to that recess time, these kids are getting 1 to 2 PE classes per week on a sort of rotating schedule. Some weeks they get 1, other weeks they get 2. And in those PE classes, that's when they do the more organized, different sports, physical tests like running, etc. Now, I pulled this one as a typical example because I want to compare it to what the CDC, the Center for Disease Control here in the United States, recommends. For children ages 6 to 17, they say that they should have 60 minutes, an hour or more of physical activity each day. And in point of fact, in 2015, they were finding only 21.6% of these kids, or actually kids 6 to 19 years old, were getting their 60 minutes or more of moderate to vigorous physical activity 5 days a week. They didn't even test the full 7 days, but just they asked the question, are you at least hitting this goal 5 days a week? And only 21.6% of American youth was hitting that goal. In fact, that same year, 2015, they went on to say in high school, so we're looking at a smaller subset of this data now, 51.6% of high school students attended a PE class in an average week. That even went to a PE class at all. And only 29.8% of high school students attended a PE class daily, which is, I think, pretty impressive. I did not have daily PE class back in the 1980s. But if you take those two numbers and put them together, what that roughly means in high school today is that 30% of high school students do get daily PE class. Another 20% get it at least sometime in the week, not daily, but at least sometime in the week. And the other 50% don't even get it that often. In fact, they might not get it at all. They might get it 0 times in a week. It might be fully elective, or do it your own time, after school kind of a thing, which is pretty shocking. They, on their same website there, the cdc.gov website, you should check out, there's a report that's available called The Secular Changes in Physical Education Attendance Among U.S. High School Students, and its data is 1991 to 2013. And you can see over that, 20 or so year period of time, you can see what the decline looked like, and it's not even, fully up to date. And that was itself pretty shocking. But what we're seeing here, this footage, and this is great, you can see these kids that are jumping off these beams. These are first graders. So, 6, 7 years old. And they're trying to make jumps and then do the same mid-air motion. They're trying to find repeatable ways to do the same motions. And here he is swinging. So, that's pretty stunning, And here's another parent who said that their students get one 15-minute recess and one PE class. I don't know how long PE class is, but the recess that they get every day is only 15 minutes long, and only one PE class a week. And he characterized it as a joke. So I'm not sure what's going on in that particular PE class, but that's pretty shocking. Here's another parent who says more generously that their students get 2 45-minute gym classes a week, one 15-minute recess per day. Again, it's only 15 minutes of recess, and then 30 minutes of outside lunch. So I don't know. During that 30 minutes of lunch, I suppose there's some running going on and playing games, etc. But it can't be fully focused activity if you're expected to also do all of your eating. Then that kind of puts kids in that precarious Sophie's choice position of, do I eat or do I play? Do I eat or do I play? And I think dads, I think what our kids are going to choose given that choice. Another parent points out that, or she has an older daughter who goes to a private school, so it's a little bit different standard. They have gym 3 times a week for 45 minutes. And then the other 2 days they do some biking. So there's actually 5 days of 45-minute or so classes. But again, remember, at most we're talking 45 minutes a day. And we read that statistic that the CDC is saying our children should be getting 60. And she's a mother in Canada. One trend that I did see is that Canada was a lot more generous than the USA. The Canadians noticed this too. A lot of these parents point out that where they live, many in Australia, etc., they've got different standards than we do. Here, I'm going to loop this video back because I've got some more fun stuff to share, and I want to have something to watch as I do. Another parent, their youngest gets 90 minutes a week, and the oldest gets 60 minutes a week. So again, that's not daily. That's how much gym time they're getting per week. If you take the CDC's recommendation of 60 minutes a day and multiply that across a 5-day week, that's 300 minutes we're supposed to be giving our kids every week. And here's a school that's only giving 90, less than a third of what the CDC is recommending. And of course, they're expecting that to be supplemented by whatever they do after school, whatever they do on the weekends. But we know, those of us who are in modern life, that the neighborhoods that we live in these days are not the same as they were when we were kids. Generations previous to us could free range their kids, just let you run around outside and play a ball game with the neighbors, and they could drop their kids off at a playground, or let them, better still, ride their bike to the playground. These are all things you'd get arrested for if you did today. If you left your kids unattended outside. So without a doubt, the numbers are much lower today than they ever were then. But yet, the schools are still expecting you to supplement these meager 90 minutes a week with that sort of after-school activity. Now, before I go too much further, I do want to say I'm not in any way trying to, come down on the teachers, the administrations. They're facing tough choices too. We didn't get here overnight because somebody, was determined to be evil to our children. I mean, far from it. It's a matter of budget crunches and having to do more with less and having higher expectations across the board for educators. But, there's something that we can do as parents. We can find ways to impress upon our kids the importance of physical activity and, to speak up and let our voices be heard so that when decisions like this are being made, when budget decisions are being made in your local school district, you can attend those public meetings, those board of directors meetings and those school board meetings was the word I was looking for there. And, let it be known that, you don't want more gym and physical activities cut from the schedules. So let me jump into some more of these comments because I by all means didn't want to skip this one. Here's a great one. One mom pointed out that gym in high school, from her anecdotal experience, basically consists of most kids sitting against a wall and texting while a few athletes play a game of basketball or soccer. So even if on paper our kids are getting those 45 minutes a day, I mean, how much of it is active participation in the sport? And how many of the students there are actually participating, taking advantage of the scheduled activity time? Even in the 1950s, you've got some who, it's a one-at-a-time activity here, so not everyone is completely active that whole 45 minutes. And that reminds me of another dad. This was a PE teacher who points out PE teacher that they get 45 minutes 5 days a week, which is actually pretty impressive, but actual activity time is usually down to 25 to 30 minutes due to the time it takes to change clothing. So if you're in the middle school, high school level where kids change into active wear for their gym class, you got to subtract some more of the time just for that and attendance, because on average not every student makes it every single day. There's another parent in Ontario, Canada. This dad says, we have 150 minutes a week. So that's split between PE class and something called daily physical activity, DPA. And I did see this in a number of other schools as well. They do this in my own son's school, where outside of a gymnasium setting, not outdoors in the playground, not downstairs in the gym, but in your classroom, teachers will take a few minutes of break time to have all the kids stand up, do some stretches, some jumping jacks. Our school puts up on the smart board, up on the basically a projection of what's on her computer. She'll play some YouTube videos for brain breaks, basically, to give the kids, a little bit of a break from whatever they're learning for just a few minutes at a time. And they're great. There's lots of studies that show how that helps for cognitive processes. But, even those yoga sessions, those jumping jack sessions, those dance along, fun as they are, that time is being counted towards what the schools report as their physical activity time. And you might see that in your schools as well. Another parent says they get 40 minutes to an hour a week of dedicated sports class. So in a whole week, that's how much they get. Now they also do something for the whole school. It's like a whole school fitness for one morning out of the week. And perhaps that is more of what I'm thinking of a PE class. That was just an interesting arrangement. He also said, this dad said that at lunch/recess, and again, the two are combined in her school, they have lots of sports equipment available. Which, just brings me to another kind of tragic situation where the kids are forced to choose between activity and playing games and eating my lunch. Anyway, a bit of a sad state of it. And you know what? I didn't even read you half of the responses that I got. But on average, I tallied these up from these 22 parents. I was seeing 47 minutes a day of activity, be it gym, PE class. Here, let's back this back up. We don't need to watch it a third time. But between gym and PE class and these daily physical activity, stretch breaks, only 47 minutes a day is what kids are seeing on my totally non-scientific anecdotal study of parents here. And that's kind of shocking when you say that the CDC wants us to be giving our kids 60. And we just saw a little bit of the activity that grade school kids were getting in the 50s. So as I jump to my next thing here, I want to follow that same group of kids that you just saw learning the different basic movement techniques in their gym class into the 1960s and tell you about one high school that was really setting the standard back in the early 60s, 1962. Right before I do, let me remind you that we do have, you can see it here, available for you dads, a free couch to 5K training plan that if you want to begin a running program with your son that you can do just you and him every week. You know, this training plan is going to tell you what you need to know. It's got all the different breakdowns day by day, mileage, how many minutes to run, how many minutes to walk, so that no matter what your fitness level, no matter what his fitness level, you can be prepared to run in a 5K road race together. This is designed for children ages 4, 5, 6, 7, and on up. So it's a great resource. You can grab it on our website, runwithmyson.com, or if you're watching this video on Facebook, you don't even need to leave the video. You can just type in the comments training plan, and we'll send it straight to you. All right, so what was I going to tell you about? Oh, yes, here. In the 1960s, you can see here is Look magazine, which I guess was pretty popular. You guys have your subscription to Look magazine, right? It says over 7 million in circulation. All right, so where's the date? 1962. So, Look magazine in 1962 did a spread on one particular high school called La Sierra High School, and they had a fitness program. It was led by Coach Stan Laprati, who moved these kids through this program and got this national article. So here's one of their all-stars doing dips like it's no big deal. Let's see. John Owens does 26 dips as part of his qualifying tests for gold status. So the way his program was set up, Coach Laprati's program, all the students were, he moved them along 5 different color grades of shorts, of trunks. So when you were a rookie, you wore white shorts. And it was required of white shorts that they had to do as part of their test a minimum of 6 pull-ups. And I asked around and I found out that even today, U.S. Marines, they can pass their physical fitness test, their PFT, doing as few as 5 push-ups. Now that number, is age dependent and it's part of a larger score. So if you're doing a few on the push-up side, you're going to be expected to pick it up elsewhere on the running or the lifting kind of categories. But it's possible to pass that Marine test with as few as 5 push-ups. And just to be a rookie in this program, you needed to do at least, 5, in order to then progress, or the majority of these kids then progress to do red shorts. And if you got blue shorts, that was a big deal. And then of course, the crazy impressive one is the gold shorts, which is what this guy right here, who's doing his dips for, he was testing to get that gold. And of course, they had one further level, which is the rare navy blue shorts. Those guys had to do 34 pull-ups, and they had to carry someone else on their back for 5 miles. And only 19 students achieved it, but still, 19 students. So this program obviously got a lot of attention. In fact, President Kennedy was urging it, and that's how they got this spread. They were telling the rest of the nation about it. La Sierra Blues, the navy blue shorts, are required to top Navy plebes on pull-ups. More pull-ups than even the Navy plebes had to do. And there they are at drill time. I love seeing these photos. There's some color photos that I can put a link to in the show notes here of a bunch of boys, in unison doing jumping jacks, doing push-ups. And it reminds me of those. You remember in that in the scenes for Enter the Dragon, where all the guys are doing their ninja training out in the yard? Kind of reminds me of that. But 1962, JFK urged other schools to do it, and over 4,000 schools nationwide adopted this same program, including girls' schools, co-ed schools. And then things sort of wound down, I understand, as the Vietnam War wore on, and the kids, would show up to class not dressed ready for gym as an act of protest. And slowly, it just dissolved completely. And by the time the school closed in 1983, Stan and his program were completely forgotten. But you can see here that it was certainly intense. I apologize. I should have been scrolling a little bit more. These guys right here doing the, what do you call those? The planks. Well, it's a modified plank. Fingers and toes for at least, what does it say, 30 seconds. I do them on toes and elbows, and it's taken me weeks to train up to this. I can do almost 5 minutes, but, it's like death. And look at these guys. On their fingers, not even on their elbows. While building fitness, La Sierra has won championships in 4 high school sports, and I think that's not surprising. These guys look motivated. They look ready to personally take on Stalin themselves. And, this is the same age group of kids that earlier in the show I was showing you footage from their, gym class in grade school. That's pretty outstanding. So today, less than half of all high school students, we read from the CDC, are getting that gym class for any reason. And this is what it was in the 60s. All right. Now, what are you going to do after gym class? You're going to have recess, right? So even recess has changed between what kids used to play on and what we allow our kids to play on now. And I thought this would be a fun thing to share. So I got some photos here of what playgrounds used to look like in the 1950s. So check this out. This is beautiful. This is a full 720-degree spiral, stainless steel, probably a real scorcher in the summer, booty burner of a slide. And here's a swing for 6. I mean, how many swings are you going to let 6 kids go on at the same time standing? I mean, we just, we don't allow this anymore. Here's another swing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I mean, I can't even count how many kids are on this swing. But, again, no big deal. The merry-go-round. So this one interests me a lot. Here in my town, we've got 4 different playgrounds, and in the neighboring town, a couple others. And I've visited all of them. And over the course of time, I've watched 5 merry-go-rounds disappear. It seemed like overnight one summer they were all gone, and little piles of weeds growing where the merry-go-round used to be. Let me know in the comments if you got any merry-go-rounds left in your schools, dads. How about the swings? You like the swing set? Climb up there and swing? Well, what about this? Here, I'll move my picture out of the way so you can see better. This is a standing swing set. And of course, my favorite. This one is glorious. I mean, look at this thing. It's got to be, 30 feet up in the air. And there we are. I'm going to go back to that thing because I think it bears staring at for a little while. We got ladders, poles to slide down. I don't know if you can see this kid over on the right hand. Right above my head, right up there, he's got like a rope in his hand. So, I mean, that can't be safe to have a rope at that distance. Oh my gosh, is that somebody falling? Yeah, directly below my video. Looks like there's somebody. Okay, wait a minute. No, I see a rope in his hands. Okay, he's swinging. I just spotted that for the first time. I thought that was somebody falling. Well, yeah, so maybe it's, for the best that we don't have quite all this same equipment. But, this same generation of kids, this is what they went out and did on their recess. And to give you some comparison, probably won't surprise you to see what playgrounds today look like. You go there often enough. But so we take the kids outside, we do a little yoga stretching, get everybody ready for their adventurous playground time on this. These multicolored playgrounds. Here's another angle. No more than 6 feet tall at any one point, and looks like 90 degrees of turn to that slide. Often there are swings, both the standard swing and the seatbelt variety, but you're not going to find a merry-go-round, and you're not going to be climbing up 30 feet in the air, and just not as treacherous. But remember how we opened the show with that quote from Alejandro Jodorowsky about, the caged bird thinks that flight is a sickness. And, this is kind of how I feel. This is what we're doing to our kids. If this is the cage that we're giving them to play in, what are they going to think when they see something as I showed you in that last playground video? All right. back out here. So, what are we going to do about it? Well, like I said, it all starts, we believe, with that one-on-one time you're going to spend with your son. Build a habit doing something physical together. If it's walking the dog together, if it's going on a run, and that training guide's a great place for you to do it. But whatever it is you do, find some time to carve out of your schedule, time where you're with him. Take a family hike, get some bikes for the whole family and go do something. And you can also get some support. I'll show you now, if you're a Facebook user, on our Facebook group. So it's the Dads Who Run Facebook group. If you're watching this video on Facebook, you need only type the word group in the comments and we'll send you a link to it. But this is a great place you can go to find other dads, see the inspiration of what they're doing with their kids. We've got some training videos on there, and we share our struggles. So it's just a community that you can put heads together and find others who are trying to do the same difficult task in today's world and find some encouragement. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed the show as much as I did. I could have gone for another 15 minutes, I think. But we'll be here next Friday and every Friday. Come join us at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and let your friends know about it. And in the meantime, go take your father-son team to victory, dads. And by all means, get that one-on-one time, because that's where it all starts. All right. Hey, I hope you got some terrific value from that video. If you did, I invite you to hit the subscribe button to get notifications of all of our new videos. You're also welcome to watch one of our popular back episodes, and you can always visit our website, runwithmyson.com, for a free Couch to 5K training plan that you can run together with your son.